The Upachaya houses. Conscious growth with time. Cancer rising, part 1. From feeling to fortitude, where emotion finds structure and nurture becomes strategic action. For Cancer rising, the Upachaya houses, 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th, chart a soul journey from reactive sensitivity to empowered service and community influence. Ruled by the moon, Cancer is intuitive, nurturing, and deeply affected by emotional undercurrents. Yet the Upachaya houses push Cancer beyond emotional response into conscious response, from private caring into public responsibility. Each of these houses matures with time, testing Cancer's ability to hold emotional space while still performing under pressure, leading without needing emotional validation, and gaining not just security, but purpose through contribution. The 3rd house, Virgo, thoughtful communication, analytical courage, and skill through precision-activated ages, 3, 15, 27, 39, 51, 63, 75. With Virgo ruling the 3rd house, Cancer rising approaches communication through observation, analysis, and care for detail. This house governs courage, siblings, short journeys, and expression. While Cancer is emotionally expressive, Virgo here teaches them to refine their message, not just feel it. Skill building becomes emotional medicine. In youth, this may manifest as shyness, perfectionism in speech, or insecurity around siblings. But with maturity, Cancer rising learns to develop technical skill, precise articulation, and intellectual resilience. They begin to understand that skill is safety, and that the ability to analyze builds true confidence. When integrated, they become counselors, editors, designers, or advisors, those who speak not just kindly, but clearly. The 6th house, Sagittarius, expansive routine, moral conflict, and the discipline of wisdom activated ages 6, 18, 30, 42, 54, 66, 78. Sagittarius in the 6th brings Jupiter's ethical lens into the house of effort, illness, service, and daily battles. For Cancer rising, daily life must feel meaningful. They are not built for mechanical routines. They seek belief behind behavior. Here, spiritual ideals are tested against mundane reality. Jupiter asks them to bring ethics into efficiency. Early in life, this may result in resistance to authority, difficulty sticking to routines, or moral confusion around confrontation. But as they mature, they learn to serve through philosophy, to teach through their work, and to make wellness part of their ethical code. This placement favors healers, educators, and those who turn daily duty into devotional practice. The 10th house, Aries, direct karma, public will, and leadership through action. Activated ages 10, 22, 34, 46, 58, 70, 82. With Aries in the 10th house, Cancer rising must grow into bold, self-starting leadership in public life. Mars here demands visible initiative, quick decisions, and fearless movement. This is a challenge for Cancer, which tends to process slowly and cautiously. Aries insists, act now, feel later. In youth, this may create career restlessness, tension with bosses, or discomfort with visibility. But with experience, Cancer rising becomes capable of decisive leadership, especially in fields requiring courage, defense, or swift action. They shine in roles where emotion can fuel motivation, like emergency services, entrepreneurship, or coaching. This house teaches that true leadership requires moving through fear, not waiting for it to disappear. The 11th house, Taurus, stable gains, loyal circles, and security. Through contribution, activated ages 11, 23, 35, 47, 59, 71, 83. Taurus in the 11th brings Venus's stabilizing energy into the realm of gains, social circles, and long-term aspirations. Cancer rising seeks comfort not just at home, but in their friend groups, networks, and professional alliances. Here, gains must feel earned, sensual, and emotionally grounding. In early life, this may show as social hesitation, over-attachment to a few friends, or fear of stepping into larger communities. But over time, Cancer rising learns to build slow, lasting gains and strong, value-aligned alliances. They attract friends who are artistic, nurturing, and grounded. Their social value matures when they realize that contribution creates wealth, and that emotional security expands through collective stability. In summary, for Cancer rising, the Upachaya houses transform private intuition into public integration. Virgo in the 3rd sharpens their voice, Sagittarius in the 6th brings ideals into service, Aries in the 10th trains them in action-based leadership, and Taurus in the 11th teaches that gain is found through steady, sensual contribution. Each step forward refines the Cancerian impulse to protect and nurture into a purposeful presence in the world, where emotion is no longer just felt, but channeled into constructive force. The Upachaya houses, Conscious Growth with Time, Cancer Rising, Part 2. 8 most defining conjunctions in the Upachaya houses, where emotion meets precision, effort becomes belief, and leadership requires fire. For Cancer Rising, the Upachaya houses, 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th, are the proving grounds where soft inner tides must adapt to worldly rhythms. These houses slowly strengthen over time, but only if Cancer Rising learns to blend sensitivity with structure, faith with effort, and nurture with action. Each house demands emotional evolution, and the conjunctions within them mark karmic moments where emotional comfort must yield to intentional growth. Mercury plus Moon in the 3rd, the sensitive analyst or the overthinking sibling. In Virgo, this conjunction brings a deep desire to communicate clearly and correctly. If benefic, it turns Cancer Rising into an emotionally intelligent speaker, writer, or listener, able to bridge logic and feeling with grace. But if afflicted, it may cause indecision, hypersensitivity to feedback, or anxiety around expression. This native must learn that precision does not erase emotion, it gives it form. Sun plus Mercury in the 3rd, the confident communicator, or the critical perfectionist. This fiery intellectual pair adds charisma and confidence to Cancer Rising's voice. In its mature state, it produces skillful teachers, presenters, or those whose words command respect. But if imbalanced, it leads to rigidity in thought or ego conflicts with siblings or coworkers. Growth arrives when they prioritize clarity over control and learn to illuminate rather than dominate. Mars plus Jupiter in the 6th, the ethical fighter or the overzealous worker. This blend in Sagittarius grants passion, optimism, and intense work ethic. It equips Cancer Rising with the moral courage to serve, defend, or heal, often with missionary zeal, ideal for careers in law, education, or social justice. But when afflicted, it causes burnout, overcommitting, or dogmatic routines. Their evolution begins when they realize that service rooted in ego becomes duty without devotion. Venus plus Mercury in the 6th, the harmonizing worker or the pleasing overachiever. Here, intellect and grace meet in the house of daily work. Cancer Rising may have refined skills in health, beauty, hospitality, or negotiation. They bring diplomacy into conflict zones and aesthetics into routines. But afflicted, this pairing creates codependency at work, avoidance of necessary conflict, or loss of self in service roles. Healing begins when they recognize that peace includes boundaries. Moon plus K2 in the 10th, the invisible leader or the detached contributor. This conjunction often signals emotional disconnection from career and early life, either due to past life karma, mother's influence, or lack of clarity around identity. Cancer Rising may feel called to serve from behind the scenes or shy away from public recognition. Yet in maturity, this becomes a gift for selfless vocation, leading with humility, intuition, and karmic grace. Their success comes when they release attachment to title and focus on impact. Sun plus Mars in the 10th, the bold initiator or the combust authority. This high-energy conjunction fuels Cancer Rising with intense ambition, leadership, and drive in their public life. It makes them decisive, action-oriented, and courageous in professional domains. But early on, it brings tension with authority, ego clashes, or over-identification with career. Evolution comes when they learn that strength is proven in composure, not just control. Venus plus Rahu in the 11th, the magnetic networker or the popularity addict. This pairing creates charm, creativity, and hunger for recognition within social groups. Cancer Rising may gain through fashion, media, performance, or collaborative projects. But Rahu can distort Venusian values, leading to obsession with validation or superficial friendships. Maturity emerges when they build circles around shared values, not just aesthetics, and when they use their magnetism for meaningful contribution. Mars plus Mercury in the 11th, the group strategist or the combative collaborator. This is the intellect of a general, tactical, sharp, and driven toward community goals. Cancer Rising with this yoga can lead networks, innovate social platforms, or spearhead team missions. But if unevolved, it breeds impatience with group process or verbal dominance in circles. Power is integrated when they realize that leadership is not about moving faster, but moving others with you. In summary, For Cancer rising, the Upachaya houses demand that emotional intelligence grow into functional strength. Virgo in the third teaches to speak with skill, not just sentiment. Sagittarius in the sixth demands that belief be embodied in daily life. Aries in the 10th calls them to lead without hesitation. Taurus in the 11th insists they build networks that nurture and sustain. These conjunctions reveal where they're asked to shed emotional reactivity and choose resilient, intentional action. When mastered, Cancer rising becomes a soul who leads through care, but acts through clarity. The Upachaya houses, conscious growth with time, Cancer rising part 3. The sixth house, Sagittarius, faith under fire, discipline through meaning, and purposeful problem solving, where the nurturer learns to serve with philosophy and fight with wisdom. For Cancer rising, the sixth house, domain of daily effort, routine, health, conflict, and karmic adjustment, falls in Sagittarius, a fiery, mutable sign ruled by Jupiter. This is not a soft or sentimental space, and it's not built for comfort. Cancer, ruled by the moon, prefers predictability and emotional safety, but Sagittarius in the sixth demands movement, mission, and conscious expansion through service. Here, the emotionally reactive must become the ethically proactive. Cancer rising cannot retreat inward forever. They must engage with the world, confront injustice, and solve problems that test their philosophical foundations. Sagittarius brings the fire of truth into Cancer's quiet, lunar world. In this house, devotion must be translated into daily decisions, and beliefs must be applied, not just felt. Let's explore the defining conjunctions in Sagittarius that shape how Cancer rising matures through the sixth house. Jupiter plus Mars, the righteous worker or the zealous enforcer. This fiery combination gives Cancer rising a warrior mentor energy in service. They may become defenders of the weak, outspoken critics, or leaders in law, medicine, or education. Their routines center on justice, and their labor becomes a moral cause. But when afflicted, this pairing turns into arrogance, overwork, or dogma disguised as productivity. They evolve when they realize truth is best lived quietly, not shouted loudly. Venus plus Mercury, the peaceful organizer or the diplomatic avoider. This graceful combination brings beauty, intellect, and persuasive charm to everyday service. Cancer rising may excel in hospitality, health counseling, or education, especially where empathy and aesthetics intersect. Yet early in life, they may resist difficult conversations, becoming passive-aggressive or hiding behind niceties. Their breakthrough lies in learning that kindness is not the absence of conflict, it's how one enters it. The intuitive fixer or the emotionally disengaged helper. This subtle pairing makes Cancer rising deeply perceptive of what others need, but often unconsciously. They may work behind the scenes in healing, caregiving, or service professions, but feel emotionally invisible. This can lead to avoidance of routine or feelings of emotional detachment from their work. With time, they develop a monk-like presence, serving without ego, detached but compassionate, unseen but vital. Sun plus Mercury, the educational activist or the intellectual overcommitter. This combination gives Cancer rising a sharp, passionate, and public voice around matters of daily injustice. They may lead efforts in health education, legal reform, or philosophical activism. But afflicted, it creates exhaustion from overthinking, excessive problem solving, or moral superiority in service. Wisdom dawns when they stop performing their intelligence and let the message serve the moment, not the ego. Saturn plus Jupiter, the ethical strategist or the burdened moralist. This conjunction brings long-term discipline, fairness, and karmic leadership in service-based fields. Cancer rising may become a policymaker, institutional guide, or principled healer, yet it can also create inner conflict between compassion and practicality, or between ideals and real-world limitations. They mature when they stop trying to solve everything perfectly and instead serve from alignment, not pressure. Mars plus Moon, the courageous caregiver or the reactive advocate. This pair create emotional fire in service. Cancer rising may find themselves in emergency healing roles, frontline work, or protective activism. They instinctively fight for what they care about, but afflicted, this causes emotional burnout, quick temper at work, or martyrdom. Balance arrives when they realize that being strong for others does not mean abandoning your own inner child. Rahu plus Mercury, the clever technician or the ethical manipulator. This placement can create a brilliant, unconventional worker, someone who breaks rules to improve systems. Cancer rising may be drawn to tech, digital health, data activism, or marketing-based healing services. But Rahu can blur ethics when the goal becomes more important than the means. Their evolution begins when they anchor intelligence in integrity and refuse shortcuts that compromise the soul's rhythm. Venus plus Saturn, the structured aesthetic or the burdened pleaser. This pairing makes Cancer rising patient, elegant, and reliable in everyday tasks. They may work in sustainable design, long-term caregiving, or administrative healing roles. But Venus here can become overly duty-bound, losing spontaneity, while Saturn may delay joy. Their healing lies in remembering that grace is not passive, it's structured beauty, and that joy in work is not a luxury, but a necessity for soulful service. In summary, Sagittarius in the 6th house challenges Cancer rising to translate belief into behavior. These conjunctions show how their inner faith is tested by practical needs, and how emotional intelligence must become ethical discipline. As the lunar nurturer learns to fight for something higher, they discover that service is not the suppression of self, but the conscious integration of it. When they stop waiting for the world to feel safe and instead step forward as guides, Cancer rising becomes not just a healer, but a moral architect of everyday life. The Upachaya houses, Conscious Growth with Time, Cancer Rising, Part 4. The 10th house, Aries, fierce karma, action over emotion, and the call to lead with conviction, where the caregiver learns to command and the moon learns to move through fire. For Cancer rising, the 10th house, Karma Bhava, the house of status, responsibility, and public karma, falls in Aries, ruled by Mars. This is a house of high visibility and executive energy, but its ruler stands in stark contrast to Cancer's soft, feeling-centered moon. Mars is decisive, sharp, fast-moving. The 10th house doesn't care about moods, it demands movement. For Cancer rising, this is a karmic terrain where the emotional nurturer must become the decisive doer. The challenge is to step out of the protective shell and into the light of action. Careers are not built through contemplation, but courage. Public respect is earned not through sensitivity alone, but through strategic strength. And karma here often pushes Cancer rising into situations where leadership cannot be avoided. Let's explore the defining conjunctions in Aries that determine how Cancer rising rises through the fires of the 10th. Mars plus Moon, the emotional executive or the triggered leader. This pairing creates fierce inner drive. Cancer rising with this conjunction may take swift, protective action in leadership roles, defending teams, rescuing projects, or leading through instinct. But when immature, this creates a reactive public image, burnout from emotional overinvolvement, or volatile interactions with authority. They mature when they match action with emotional regulation and realize that impulse must bow to insight. Mars plus Sun, the firebrand professional or the ego warrior. This high-octane duo brings charisma, ambition, and the ability to dominate in competitive fields, politics, athletics, entrepreneurship, or defense. But it can also create conflict with bosses, difficulty following, or early career volatility. Cancer rising grows when they lead from principle, not pride, and allow others to share the spotlight without seeing it as a threat. Saturn plus Mars, the strategic commander or the pressurized performer. These two enemies forge extraordinary focus when matured, discipline, endurance, and leadership through action. Cancer rising may find their place in structured environments, government, engineering, project management, or systems reform, but early life may feel blocked, stuck, or undervalidated. Their growth comes from patience and pressure, and learning that delayed success doesn't mean denied success. Sun plus Mercury, the thoughtful leader or the insecure performer. This conjunction sharpens public speech, decision-making, and executive authority. Cancer rising may rise in careers involving negotiation, communication, or public teaching. But the Sun may inflate pride, while Mercury overanalyzes decisions, leading to leadership anxiety. Integration comes when they trust their instincts, articulate their insights, and lead without rehearsing every move. Moon plus Saturn, the stoic professional or the emotionally burdened worker. Here, public karma feels heavy. Cancer rising may carry parental expectations, early career responsibilities, or a need to prove their worth through performance. They may appear emotionally restrained or mature beyond their years. The breakthrough lies in not letting public duty steal personal nourishment, and in remembering that reliability is strength, not sacrifice. Rahu's Mars, the disruptive achiever or the power chaser. This combination can skyrocket Cancer rising into fame through radical moves, tech innovation, or controversial leadership. It brings bravery, but also restlessness. The line between initiative and instability is thin. If unevolved, this placement creates obsession with success, image, or risk. Growth comes when they pursue influence to uplift, not dominate. Venus plus Mars, the dynamic diplomat or the charm-driven leader. This duo grants Cancer rising charm, magnetism, and a refined edge to action. It suits professions in arts administration, leadership in wellness or design, or any role where beauty and boldness meet. But early on, it can cause indecision between pleasing and pushing. Maturity means choosing courage that's elegant, not forced. Ketu plus Sun, the detached authority or the ghost leader. This pairing may make Cancer rising uncomfortable with authority, even their own. They may shy away from visibility, have past life burdens around leadership, or unconsciously sabotage public recognition. Yet when evolved, they lead quietly, through spiritual influence or visionary detachment. True karma unfolds when they serve purpose without seeking spotlight, and learn that greatness doesn't always wear a crown. In summary, with Aries in the 10th, Cancer rising is karmically summoned to act decisively, not just feel deeply. These conjunctions reveal whether they'll burn under pressure or ignite transformation through presence. The 10th house doesn't allow hiding. It forces Cancer rising to step out of the shell, stand on the platform, and lead with conviction. When integrated, this is where the empath becomes the executive, the nurturer becomes the initiator, and the moon learns that sometimes clarity comes only when you step into the fire. The Upachaya houses, conscious growth with time, Cancer rising part 5. The 11th house, Taurus, grounded ambition, loyal networks, and sustainable social success, where the heart seeks steady rewards and community feeds the emotional root. For Cancer rising, the 11th house, Labasthana, the house of gains, alliances, long-term goals, and social expansion, falls in Taurus, ruled by Venus. This is a gentle and stabilizing influence in a house often marked by ambition and outreach. While Cancer's emotional world is fluid and ever-shifting, Taurus brings solidity, sensuality, and patience to the pursuit of goals. Here, Cancer rising does not chase flashy dreams. They build toward meaningful fulfillment, brick by brick. In social settings, Cancer rising seeks harmony, emotional security, and deep loyalty. Friendships must feel safe, grounded, and mutually enriching. But they must also learn not to cling to familiarity at the expense of expansion. In this house, gains come not just from effort, but from emotional intelligence meeting practical value. Let's explore the conjunctions in Taurus that define how Cancer rising matures into collective abundance. Venus Moon, the soulful attractor, or the emotionally entangled ally. This elegant pairing brings Cancer rising emotional magnetism, nurturing friendships, and comfort in community spaces. They are loved for their warmth and aesthetic grace. But when afflicted, this leads to possessiveness, dependency on friends for emotional regulation, or confusion between love and loyalty. Growth comes when they share without attaching and create circles where support flows without conditions. Venus plus Mercury, the social artist or the approval-seeking diplomat. This duo gifts Cancer rising with beautiful speech, artistic networks, and the ability to harmonize group dynamics. Ideal for those in media arts, therapy, or event curation. But if afflicted, it creates hesitation in asserting personal goals or fear of disapproval in collective spaces. Maturity dawns when they realize that authenticity creates deeper resonance than charm alone. Moon plus Saturn, the responsible friend, or the emotionally restricted networker. This karmic combination adds gravity and responsibility to Cancer rising's social life. They become the caretaker of circles, the one who remembers birthdays, pays attention, and helps others organize their lives. But they may also feel burdened, underappreciated, or emotionally withdrawn in large groups. Freedom grows when they learn to receive support too, and realize that holding space doesn't mean holding everyone's weight. Sun plus Venus, the popular benefactor or the prestige-driven companion. This pairing brings grace and social recognition. Cancer rising may shine through networks related to beauty, wellness, or value-based ventures. They are well-liked, attractive, and often sought after for advice or partnership. But afflicted, this creates attachment to image or a desire for admiration that distracts from true connection. Power is reclaimed when they use visibility to uplift, not impress. Mars plus Venus, the bold collaborator or the charismatic competitor. This dynamic mix infuses Cancer rising with sensual confidence and artistic drive in group projects. They may lead creative ventures, community initiatives, or revenue-building collectives. But early on, it can spark tension, wanting to lead yet avoid conflict. Their social maturity grows when they act without overpowering and realize that co-creation requires trust, not just talent. Rahu plus Moon, the emotionally charged connector or the crowd-dependent seeker. This karmic pairing draws Cancer rising into large, emotionally intense group settings or cause-based networks. They may gain through humanitarian efforts, social media, or emotionally resonant storytelling. But if afflicted, it creates emotional overstimulation, groupthink, or loss of personal boundaries. Wisdom arrives when they stay rooted in self-worth while navigating collective emotions. Jupiter plus Venus, the benefic bridge builder or the comfort-seeking dreamer. This is a wealth-producing, joy-sharing, socially uplifting yoga. Cancer rising with this conjunction may become a connector of people and ideas, facilitating abundance through shared values. They attract allies, mentors, and benefactors easily. But if unevolved, they may rest in comfort and resist challenge. The key is to balance gratitude with ambition and keep expanding the circle without compromising depth. Saturn plus Mercury, the network architect or the guarded social thinker. This practical, structured combination brings Cancer rising long-term gains through methodical communication and consistent relationship building. They thrive in systems-based teams, educational groups, or financial collectives. But when afflicted, it creates hesitation, pessimism, or intellectual withdrawal. They evolve when they share ideas without self-censorship and learn that discipline and friendship can deepen joy, not restrict it. In summary, Taurus in the 11th house teaches Cancer rising that security is not only personal, it is also collective. These conjunctions show whether they will build networks from nourishment or neediness, and whether their dreams are rooted in real values or emotional compensation. As they mature, Cancer rising learns that the sweetest success comes not from chasing what glitters, but from cultivating what grounds them and uplifts others too. In this house, loyalty becomes legacy, and emotional depth becomes social wealth.